Okay, what's up? I'm back. I actually recorded one review and I got a good ways through and then I just lost it. So I want to just do this one and be done with. So this review is about the new Bumblebee movie that I just got back from seeing like a half an hour ago. And yeah, I got a lot to say about this movie. A whole ton. So let me jump right into it. First, when they announced the movie, when they initially announced the movie, I was not interested in seeing this movie at all. I was pretty much done with the Transformers at that point because after last night, I was like, Michael Bay ruined Transformers. I mean, ruined Transformers. The last night was a freaking train wreck and a half. It was a nightmare. I do not want to see that again. I don't even want to see the name. I don't even want to see the title. I don't even want to see the poster of that film. That film is beyond terrible. That's how bad that movie was. This movie was so bad, I felt like leaving the movie theater in the middle of the freaking movie. I've never felt that way watching a movie in the theater, but this movie got me to my breaking point. I was like this close from leaving the theater midway through because I could not take it anymore. I couldn't believe how bad that movie was. There was no redeeming qualities with that movie, man. Everything was bad about that movie. But moving on from that rant, transitioning over to this film, like I said, I was not interested at all when they announced this movie. I was like, screw this movie. I'm not giving Michael Bay or Paramount any more of my money because Transformers is just terrible, 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 terrible. Then the trailer drops and I was like, it just solidified my reason even more not to see this film. I was like, yep, there it go. This trailer sucks. I'm not interested in the trailer at all. Screw it. Forget it. Didn't want to think about it. As we come close to the release time of this film, I started seeing a lot of good reviews. I started seeing a lot of headlines saying that Bumblebee is a great movie, yada, yada, yada. All the film critics who saw the movie early is giving it high review scores. And I was just like, wait, what? This movie? You serious? Like, I couldn't believe it because judging from the trailer, I'm like, yo, there's no way this movie's going to be good. This movie's going to be trash. It's going to be absolute trash. And yeah, seeing all those reviews, it kind of like took me aback a little bit. So I was like, should I see it now? Like my wheels in my head started turning the other way. Like, I don't know, man. I think I gotta go see it. But then I was trying to be like, nah, man. Remember what you said before? You done with Transformers? Don't see it. But then I keep hearing good stuff. I just kept hearing good stuff after good stuff after good stuff. And even seeing the Rotten Tomato score is almost at 100. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I gave in. Let me go and see it. So I finally decided to see it today. And wow. I guess in short, I can't say that I didn't like it, but I can't say that I really liked it, if that makes sense. Like, my opinion about this movie in short is very, very mixed because there's a lot of great things that they did with this movie, and then there's a lot of things that took me out of the film completely. So I guess I could just jump into the good things about this movie that I really loved. And I felt like they should have just focused on that more. And one of the things that was great to me that stood out was the fight scenes. The fight scenes were absolutely amazing. Like, there was parts where I was just like speechless. I was just like, wow. Like, just how it was shot, how the Transformers looked, the fight choreography was just so, it was so beautifully done, man. I wish they would have just focused on that more, we got more scenes like that. That was like one of the standouts to this film, man. It was how well the fight scenes was, man. I loved every single second of it. I was just like, if I had to see this movie again, I would like fast forward it to all the fight scenes and just watch that, because it is truly something special to watch. The second thing that I loved about this movie was the Transformers themselves. The design. Like, this trumps everything that Michael Bay's done with his Transformers films, as far as like the Transformer designs go. Like, the Transformers in this film looks like Transformers, because in the Michael Bay one, I mean, yeah, some of them look pretty cool, but a lot of them look like a bunch of junk parts just all jumbled up together. So in this one, like, they got the design right. They got the design like almost perfect to me, and I was like, yo, they nailed it, man. They nailed the Transformers, how they transform. Even the way Bumblebee transformed in certain scenes in the movie was really nicely done. So yeah, like, the design of the Transformers was beautiful, man. Just freaking beautiful. And that goes into the special effects. The special effects, speechless. Like, I couldn't find any flaws. Like, the special effects was just so freaking great, man. So great. I loved it. And the last thing I want to mention about the good parts of the movie was the first 15 minutes. The first 15 minutes, I'm sitting there, I'm like, yo, this movie's gonna be dope. This movie is gonna be dope, man. When it was fighting on Cybertron, oh man, like, I was all the way in. I was all the way in when I saw it, man. It got me hyped. I was like, yo, this is the Transformers I wanted to see. It was beautifully done. The fight scenes, like I said before, was amazing. Everything was dope about the first 15 minutes. But then we get to the rest of the movie, and it was a chore to sit through. I'm sorry, it was really tough to sit through this movie, man. Like, there were things that I did like about the story, but then there was a lot of other things that I didn't like. One of the main things I did not like, and I don't know why Paramount keeps doing this, is the human characters. For once, can we get a Transformers movie where we just focus on Cybertron and the Autobots and the Decepticons? That's what we want to see. Why do you keep bringing up these human characters and making them the focal point of this film? It makes no sense. And then they showed it in the first 15 minutes. They could make a whole movie on the Transformers of themselves. It was so beautifully done. All they had to do was just focus on Cybertron and the war between the Autobots and the Decepticons, and the relationship between Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and all his Autobots going up against the Decepticons. That's what we want to see. Why do you keep focusing on human characters? We do not care about these characters, man. This is what made the movie a chore to sit through, because we've been through this 5 times with the Michael Bay films, and we had to go through it again with this movie. It was no different. A lot of the things that they did in this movie was almost the same thing they did in the Michael Bay films. Starting with the main character, the girl. I mean, yeah, she wasn't as whacked out and kooky as Shia LaBeouf, but come on, man. The relationship between her and Bumblebee, like, that's something that we've seen that already. We've seen that a bunch of times. Not only in the Transformers films, but in a lot of other movies. So I don't know why Paramount has this fixation of adding the human element to a Transformers film. The Transformers has great characters, man, with the robots of themselves. It's a very good story. They could tell a good story. Just focus on the robots. That's what we want to see. We want to see Cybertron. And like I said, they gave it to us in the first 15 minutes of the film, and then we just go right back to the human element. And I'm tired of seeing that, man. I am sick and tired of seeing these human characters in Transformers, man, because they don't need to be there. The robots are good enough to carry a whole film. Like, you had a whole 80s movie about the Transformers. So why add the human element to it? The human element just drags it down. You just make it into a whole nother film. This shouldn't be in a Transformers film. Like I said, man, like, the fight scenes, all that was great, but the rest of the movie, I'm telling you, man, it was hard to sit through. A lot of the scenes, I was just like, can we please get to some fights? Can we please get to some action? I want to see Bumblebee whip some butt. I want to see Optimus Prime come down and save the day. We didn't get that. The whole movie was focused on the relationship between Bumblebee and the girl, and all the difficulties the girl had to go through because of her father's death, and building up the relationship between Bumblebee and her. And yeah, the character, it's great character development. I'll give you that. Great character development. The relationship between her and Bumblebee is very believable. They really did a good job of building that relationship up. And like I said, she does get well developed within the movie, and throughout the movie, you do feel for her. So I'm not saying that those scenes weren't done right. Those scenes were done right. But like I said, man, like it just took away from what you really want to see. Like, when I go into a Transformers film, I want to see Transformers. I want to see robots fighting, man. I want to see the politics of, this planet called Cybertron. I want to see the war between the Decepticons and the Autobots. I want to see the motivation between both sides. That's what I want to see. And I don't know why they keep doing this, man. This is the 6th film. And you would think that Paramount would learn from the previous movies, and they go back to the same elements. Now, it's not beat for beat, shot for shot like the Michael Bay. It's nowhere near like that. Like, I would say this film is better than a lot of the other Michael Bay Transformers. The only one I would say that is not better than is the first Transformers. I was still if I had to pick between the first Transformers film and this film, I would still pick the first Transformers film. Because in that, at least you got more robot action. At least you got more fights in the first one. This one, it was just a freaking teen relationship, 80s cheesy movie with Transformers. Like, if you would have took Bumblebee out, if you would have took the whole Cybertron, Optimus Prime, Bumblebee element out of it, this would have just been a regular movie. This would have just, if you would have replaced Bumblebee with, I don't know, like a dog or something, this would have been just an ordinary, plain movie with great character development and a great relationship between two beings. I'll put it that way. That's what it would have been. Because this film, it seems like they once again, they pushed the Transformers to the side almost. Because in this one, of course, Bumblebee is the main focal point of this film, but he hardly does anything. He hardly does nothing. He does something for the first 15 minutes. Then we got to sit through this long story of him and this girl all the way until the end when he fights again. And then the movie's done. There's hardly any fights. There's hardly any action scenes in this film, man. There's a lot of stupid scenes in this movie. There's one scene in the movie where it's the girl, her friend, and Bumblebee, and they have a bunch of toilet paper, and they're just throwing it at a tree. Like, why does that scene need to be in there? What's the significance of that? And then right after they throw the toilet paper, the male friend, he brings out a carton of eggs, and he's like, okay, Bumblebee, throw the eggs on this car. And then Bumblebee goes to the car. Like, we don't need that, man. We had enough of those stupid scenes in the old Transformers movies, man. Leave that where it be. Do something different. There was a lot of scenes like that in this film, man. I'm just like, oh, come on, man. Come on. Don't do this, man. And I know I'm ranting about this movie, but it's like, I really wanted to like it, man, because I heard a lot of good things about it. I really wanted to like it. But it was very hard for me to like it all the way because they focused, the main focus was not on the title of the movie. God, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I know a lot of other people liked it. It's very lighthearted. Like I said, the relationship between the girl and Bumblebee was done really well, man. I really felt for them. Like, she was a good main character, so I'm not even gonna like say that she was bad or anything like that. She was a good character. She was very well developed. Even her family was pretty okay. I didn't really have a problem with her family. They were there. The friend, he could have been left out, but hey, you know, it is what it is. And like I said, the relationship between her and Bumblebee was done really well. Like, they did a really good job. There was a lot of scenes where I did feel for them too. You know, there was a lot of scenes where, you know, you didn't want them to be separated. You always wanted them to stay together. You felt in the movie that there was a tight unit. Like, Bumblebee was really connected to her and she was really connected to Bumblebee, and they were both almost like inseparable. And they told the way how they did it really well. So I'm not even gonna fault them for that. It was really well done. But I can't, it's like I want to appreciate it, but I can't fully appreciate it because it's still a Transformers movie. Like, if it wasn't a Transformers movie, and if it was just a regular movie and I went to go see it, I think I would appreciate it much more. I would appreciate this movie much more. I'd be like, oh, this was it was a really good movie. But because it's Transformers, because you got such iconic characters that gets pushed to the side once again, it's like I can't appreciate the other good things they did with the story. And I don't know, man. At the end of the day, I have very mixed feelings about this film, man. There's parts of it that I do like, that I loved, but then there's other parts that just took me completely out. And I was like, throughout watching the whole movie, I'm like, okay, are we gonna get to something interesting? Like, I really don't care about this. Like, okay, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Because we've seen this many times before, and I don't know why they decided to like spend so much time on that when we've seen this millions of times already. And it's like, come on, man. So I don't know, man. At the end of the day, I can't say that it was bad all the way, but I can't say it was great either. It was what it was. It was another Paramount Transformers film, man. It was a step up from the very last Transformers that came out last year, but that's not really saying much. Anything is a step up at this point. This video is a step up from the last night, to be honest with you. Anything is a step up from that train wreck. But I don't know, man. Paramount, man. If somebody from Paramount watches this video, I want you to get one thing and one thing clear. When you do a Transformers film, stop focusing on the human characters. We do not care. We don't care. All we want to see is Autobots and Decepticons fighting on Cybertron. That's what we want to see. And you teased us. You literally teased us. The first 15 minutes was that. It was amazing. I was like, yo, we need to see more of this. And then the rest of the movie happens. And it's like, well, where's the cool stuff? Where's the Cybertron stuff? Yeah, it was sprinkled in here and there in between scenes throughout the movie, but come on, man. That's nothing. That don't count. So at the end of the day, man, it's, like I said, this movie had the potential to be great, man. It had the potential to be great. They did a lot of things right, man. But a lot of things that was wrong with the previous Transformers films whittled into this one. Like Michael Bay's traces was in this film as well. Michael Bay sprinkles was in this movie, and you saw it. I saw it. So I know this film got like a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. No, that's way too high for this movie. No, for me, I would rate it. I'll probably rate it maybe 60%. That's just my rating. If I was doing the Rotten Tomato score, or if I was in charge of the Rotten Tomato score, I would rate it probably 60 at best. Maybe a little bit less than that, to be honest with you. But it does not. This film is nowhere near 94%. Like, not to me, no. Because they did a lot of the same things that they did in the Michael Bay films in this movie. Like, a lot of it. And I'm like, that's a 94%. But then the other Transformers movies got terrible reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, how does that make sense? Like I said, is a slightly better version of the previous 5 Transformers films. It's a slight upgrade from those 5 Transformers films, other than the first one. Because if I had to choose between this film and the first Transformers film, I would still pick the first Transformers film. To me, that is the best Transformers film of modern time, of the CGI era. Because guess what? We got Transformers fighting throughout the whole movie, or throughout most of the movie. At least we got to see different Decepticons and different Autobots fighting it out. You hardly got that in this film. So yeah, man, I think that pretty much wraps it up, man. That's pretty much my thoughts on the film. I don't know what you guys thought of it. I know a lot of other people liked it, and hey, man, that's great, man. You know, we all have our opinions. We all have our thoughts on, you know, art, and that's beautiful. So I'm not trying to take away from what everybody else's experience was on this film, but to me, it was a mixed bag. Will I go see it again? No. I would see the first 15 minutes again, of course, but to sit through that again, you know, they say curiosity kills the cat, and I was curious, and I was kind of let down, to be honest. So that's going to be it for this review. The next one should be Spider-Man. I think I'm going to see that. Well, it is Christmas Day, so, because I'm filming this like at midnight, so I'm going to see it later on. My throat is shot. Thank you guys. If you watch this whole review in its entirety, man, I thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Until my next one, I'm out. Yeah.